We're going to sew a skirt using scraps, and it's going to have ruffles, a handkerchief hem, and pockets. But first, there's a more pressing matter. I found myself not wanting to be in this room, which was a bummer because it's the room that I sew in, and I like to sew. So I figured changes need to be taken quickly. I have plans for the whole house to slowly work on, but this room needed to be done first. So here's that process in like 15 seconds. Is it totally finished yet? No, not even close. But does it now feel less claustrophobic and happier to be in? Yes, and that's what mattered. So let's get back to making this skirt now that I can be in this room. What I'm doing first is making sure that I have enough of this leftover material from this project to make the skirt I have in mind, which I do. The plan is to make a skirt suited for Ren Fair. So we'll go across this way on one fold and then down this way on the other, and that cross section in the center will be where the skirt opening is. Remember, for skirts, circle skirt type skirts, this is the math that you will do to get the measurement for your waist. I add in a bit of ease so that I came out to about like 4.5 inches because I am going to do a split side for the tie aspect, except it's not a tie this time, it's hooks. How exciting. The process for cutting your waist is just the same as it was on the first circle skirt, even though this won't be a circle skirt. The concept is exactly the same for cutting out your waist. So go ahead and mark a couple spots on the center corner of your fabric and then cut that out and you have your waist hole. That one's for the waist hole fans. And I didn't bother doing anything with the hem because I want to, one, add ruffles to it, but also it's meant to be a bit of a asymmetrical handkerchief type hem. Oh my god, it could be a poncho. But hold on. I just accidentally made a poncho. Hold up, this is so cool. Oh my god, and you could like tie. Okay, well what I would I made a poncho. Poncho revelations aside, you're going to cut the slits on either side of your waist for your skirt. Once you get either side cut, the next step is very exciting. It's time to tackle pockets once more, but this time in a way that makes so much more sense, hopefully. About 4 inches on the opening because I cut my slit a little more than 4 inches, almost 5. I think this is gonna work. Also, thank you to the people in healthcare on my previous video that informed me this is more a liver than a kidney. But even still, it doesn't really look like an organ. Anyways, we're cutting this shape out. All right, if I was following my own instructions, I'd be confused. So here we go. This is the shape you need to make for the pocket. This is the part that matters for a measurement. This is about what you want your hand and your phone to fit in this side, okay? I will refrain from shape analogies because this is what a kidney looks like. Similar to this, a kidney bean, obviously. This is what your liver looks like. None of these things look like this. Okay, hopefully we understand now. Now that you have your pocket shape cut out of your paper template, grab the fabric you want to make your pocket out of. I grabbed these pillowcases, and then about pretty soon here, like I think at this point, I realized how nice these pillowcases I thrifted were. And to be completely honest with you, I don't really have the nicest pillowcases. So I decided to keep those for me, and instead grab some scrap fabric from the circle skirt I made in this video, and make my pockets out of it. This part of the pocket process is very straightforward. You are just pinning your pocket pattern down It's a lot of P's. On the fabric you're making your pockets out of, and you want to double layer it. They don't have to be connected, two separate pieces, but you just want to double layer it. And this is also my first time using a rotary cutter that my aunt gave me. Very fun. Anyways, this is now your pocket shape. Remember, we're not using shape analogies anymore. I also decided to line up my pattern piece so that the straight edge was on the selvage of the fabric so that I didn't have to deal with any like fraying or anything on that side. That was just a personal preference of mine. You're going to do the same thing again. So you want 2 pockets with 2 layers each, and then you're going to pin the pocket right sides together. You won't fully pin and sew the pockets closed because we need them to open with the opening of the skirt. For this next step, you will pin around this bit of the pocket. You're going to go a bit higher than I did because I made a mistake, and we learn from my mistakes here. Then you're going to fold over and press this bit of the pocket because we're going to stitch it down to avoid a raw edge. When you fold down and press that top portion, you're going to do that separately on either side of these sandwiched pocket pieces, and you will stitch only the one side to itself. I hope that makes sense. I'm doing it right here in the video if my words aren't making sense. But we're not sewing the pockets together at that point. We're just trying to get them to where they will be nicer when they're a finished pocket in your lovely skirt. Once you've sewn down your little folded over bits at the top, it should look something like this. And then you're going to go back to your sewing machine and sew along the curve of your pocket. And remember, you're going to sew the curve starting higher than I did because I did it wrong. I decided to turn it inside out, or turn it the right way out from inside out, just to double check after I finished sewing it, because I always like to double check, and I should have noticed here that I didn't sew it high enough up on that curve, but I didn't. But you won't make that same mistake. Anyways, now we're going to take our pocket back to our skirt and start pinning it in place. This is the 5th time I've tried to explain pinning the skirt to the pocket, and I don't know why, but it's very hard for me to verbalize what I'm doing here. But essentially, your pocket is inside out, and you want to take the opening of your pocket and pin the right side of the pocket to the right side of the skirt slit. And you're going to do this with your skirt inside out first, but then you fold over that skirt slit side to pin. Can you see where the struggling is coming with verbalizing this? I hope that seeing me do it makes sense, at least if you're visual like me. I tried to go through this process really slowly and make sure that I was filming the whole step very clearly. So hopefully this is working and you understand what you're doing. In a shocking twist of events, you are going to do the same thing to the other side of your pocket and the other side of the skirt opening. I never really know what to do in this like downtime between watching me do the process, and there's not really any verbal instruction for me to give you until the next step, so I'm just going to talk. All right, and we're at the next step. Now your pocket has been pinned, and I believe I have actually already, have I sewed it? No, I have not sewed it. Before you sew it, flip it all the right way around and make sure that your pocket is behaving as a pocket should. So you should have the nice sewn edge here, not like the raw edges of your fabric sticking out on this side. And it should go down and like your hand should fit in it and it should behave like a pocket. Again, it was at this point that I should have clocked that my opening was too wide right there and I should have sewn it up a little bit higher. Remember, you're not making that mistake, because we're learning from my mistakes. But if your pocket is behaving as it should, then you can take your pocket to your sewing machine or take your thread and needle and stitch your pocket to your skirt. Our last little chat wasn't really that long in between instruction. Apologies for that. Oh, would you look at that? Our time's already coming to an end. Once your pockets are attached, this is what it will look like laid out flat with your skirt folded in half and your pockets out there. This is inside out, by the way. And my skirt is a rectangle because I'm making a handkerchief. That was kind of hard. A handkerchief hem skirt in this video. And ta-da! You have a skirt with pockets. Now you're probably wondering, how did you do that waistband? And the hem isn't finished. What's going on? Well, those steps are coming next. And next is now. We're going to make the waistband for the skirt. This process will be slightly different from the process of the waistband in my previous video because we are not going to make this waistband to have ties because we're using hooks, which you can do the exact same waistband process for hooks, snaps, buttons, Velcro, whatever that don't involve ties. I am making my waistband out of more scrap material from this project. We love to reduce and reuse and recycle over here. But I need my waistband to be my waist measurement and like 4 or 5 inches. You don't need to add that much to your waistband, but I like to be able to have more than enough rather than not have enough. And then that allows you to put in a few rows of hooks or snaps or buttons or whatever it is that you're doing to maintain the adjustable aspect of this skirt. I forgot to record any of the next steps, so sorry, but I cut this strip lengthwise down the middle. So I had 2 strips and then I folded in the edges, pressed and sewed them, and then sewed them centered to each side of the skirt waist. I have the waistband kind of pinned here to show you what it's looking like. So this is at the back. I'm gonna put snaps on here next so it won't be the tie waist, but kind of shows this is pockets looking like from the side. This is a really terrible way to show this, but I'm gonna have to go play fetch and then I'll come back. Okay, back from playing fetch. When you pin your skirt on where you want your hooks or your snaps or your buttons to be, you want to make sure that you measure the smallest and the largest it can be while the skirt still falls correctly with the pocket. Finding the smallest and the largest size that the skirt can fall while still laying correctly is what is going to add the adjustable aspect to this skirt. Now, with hooks or snaps, it's not quite as adjustable as with ties. For instance, to have it still lay correctly, the smallest I could go is 24 inches. The largest I could go is 26. This is perfect for me because I'm the only person that's going to be wearing this skirt, and about 2 inches is my regular fluctuation. It's not as much adjustability as the ties, but it's still pretty nice. I have since learned that you can buy bra strap extenders and you don't have to sew your hooks on one by one. But if you are sewing your hooks on one by one, it's a smart idea to mark where you want the hooks to go first. I still ended up with them a little crooked, but you know, we live and we learn. And here it is, putting it on and taking it off, just in case you, I don't know, couldn't visualize it. All right, next step, ruffles. All right, you heard the lady being me. It's ruffle time. Here's a time lapse of me trying to do math and most of my animals being concerned about it. I did figure it out by going to Google, and the general rule of thumb seems to be measure 1.5 times the length of the area you're wanting to ruffle. Sure, what the rule of thumb is on the width of your panel that will be ruffled, but I went for 5 inches or just over 5 inches and I accidentally time-lapsed this one, so I had to slow it down so slow to show you that little clip. I cut 2 strips to do 2 ruffles and show you 2 ways to do it. The first one is the basting stitch method. Start on a straight stitch, make your stitch length as long as it goes, and have your tension normal around like a 3. Give yourself a nice long tail on the thread and on the needle and bobbin thread. Do not backstitch when you start, and go ahead and sew a straight line the full length of the panel you're ruffling, about a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch from the top. And when you get to the end, do not backstitch again. Just let it go and give yourself a nice long tail at the end. I had a bit of a mess up on this one that actually worked to my advantage, but my bobbin tail at the beginning ended up getting folded into a stitch later on, and it kind of, well, okay, you can see, don't do what you just are seeing me do here right now. But my mistake ended up kind of working because it like ruffled it for me. So that saved me some time because what you want to do is go ahead and put another row about a 1/4 inch underneath it. And then you're going to take the 2 bobbin tail threads and gently, very, very gently tug at those tail threads until you get your panel ruffled to your desired ruffle taste. Once I had it all ruffled, I went ahead and pinned it to the side of the hem that I want ruffled. I'm only doing the 2 outer hemlines with ruffles on this skirt, and I stitched it just straight down in between those 2 rows of basting type stitches that I did. I just sewed it to, I knew it was gonna happen because I'm trying to do this quickly before I have to go to work. I should have known. Huh, Astrid? if you put your claws in me. Anyways. Learning to sew has tested my patience in unimaginable ways. Anyway, here is a shortcut for a ruffle number 2. You want your stitch length also at the widest straight stitch, but now we're cranking the tension up. I put it here at 7 at first, but I ended up going in and switching it all the way to a 9. And it worked better, but this is not my preferred ruffle method. It is a lot quicker because the high tension and the long stitch length kind of like ruffles itself as you go. And you do start with a back stitch and you end with a back stitch as well. But as you'll see when I show the final result, it's not as ruffly, you know? Speaking of final result, here is me demonstrating how to put on this skirt. It's really simple. You just step into it and then you bring the back around to the front. Well, first you want to like make sure your pockets are sitting correctly. Then you want to bring the back around to the front and hook your little hook and eyes, and then bring the front around to the back and hook your little hook and eyes. And I learned from last time, and instead of trying to hook it behind my back, I just pulled my skirt around. And as you can see, I struggled with that as well. Anyways, here's the final reveal.